Hi friends, welcome to Parent Cafe Live. So this lesson for today is encourage our children to practice self-praise, and that'll lead to self-worth. So in order to do that, we have to learn how to better praise our children. And we're going to do that by changing our language a little bit. So we want to notice their successes, and we're going to talk about some examples and how we praise those. And you want them to see those successes as not like superficial ones, like things that they can truly be proud of. And sometimes that's just accomplishing a task. And instead of looking at how well they did or didn't do something, often that will show some negativity. So what we're doing is saying, wow, that's amazing. You cleaned your room. You worked really hard on that. You should be proud of yourself. So often a child at the age of, say, 4 will make his bedroom, but not his bed, clean. So keep in mind, like if you're at home for the day and you've been slaving away and maybe you missed one room, maybe you didn't get the entryway all cleaned up, and so your spouse comes home and they see some shoes by the front door and they're like, geez, what did you do all day? Or, you didn't get to this yet? And you've been busy, and in your brain you've done all of the things, right? And you don't need to be praised for everything, but you don't need to feel bad about not getting one thing done. So that's what we're doing with kids too. We have to take a different approach. It's really easy for us to look at things and notice what wasn't done versus noticing all the things that were done. So I hope that makes sense, and it will as we talk a little bit more. Some tools you guys can use. There's always books available, especially if you're struggling with a task. We did talk about like those visual routines, those charts that you can make to help your child complete tasks. And as you go and you want to reward them and work towards positivity and language of positivity in your home, you're going to build more self-worth, self-love, self-esteem in them. They're going to start to realize and want to do things well on their own accord instead of just to make you happy. So I want to ask you guys a question. What sounds more like your child would have a positive response to? So if I say, wow, you didn't get your bed made. I wish you would have done that. Or we walk into the room and be like, wow, you got all your toys lined up? That's amazing. Nobody's going to trip on those now. Good job. I hope you're proud of yourself. Which one is your kid going to do better with? Mine will definitely do better with the second one. And with that in mind, I can still ask him to make the bed, or maybe I say, would you like me to help you make your bed? Or do you need help making your bed? And maybe next time, if you need any help, just don't hesitate to ask. Things like that. Or have a conversation with them and you'll find out more of what happened, because there's probably a reason. And you just keep going with, all right, let's take a look at our visual chart. What are all the steps we got done? All right, only a couple we didn't do. That's amazing, right? Because that's hard for them. It's hard for them to remember all of the steps. Some days I can't remember to walk out of the house with my purse and my keys and my phone. I miss one of them inevitably, at least once a week, right? And I'm an adult who knows I need all of these things and have been practicing it for a while. So it's okay if our kids miss a few steps along the way. Let's celebrate all those small wins. And helping them to reflect on the good job they've done and that they should be proud of it too. So your second question, what are some minor tasks that your child has done that is helpful or that they've completed? Have they written on a birthday card or a Mother's Day card recently and, practiced and used all their words to show somebody how much they cared and loved? I know my son just brought home some really sweet things from school that he made for me, like a bookmark, and he knows I love to read, so he was very excited about that. And he has lots of little things that all have little touches of his love through it. And so honoring that and appreciating that is really impactful versus, oh, that's so pretty, honey, versus, wow, I see you took the time to put each little fingerprint here. Did you pick that color just for me? Is that because you know I love that color? That's so sweet and kind and thoughtful. That goes a lot further than just a dismissive, well, that's so pretty. You might say that's so pretty and then carry on and continue on. But just take the time to notice what you're noticing, because life gets busy, right? And we all go through life and we just are like, oh, that's great. You know, we're trying to get dinner on the table, trying to make sure their homework's done, trying to make sure they have a bath, trying to make sure their laundry's ready for the morning. There's a lot in life, and I get that, and I'm not saying you have to do this all the time, but with anything when it comes to parenting, if we use some reflection to kind of monitor how we're doing things, we can start practicing better ways to do it. And it really doesn't take that much more effort. It's just we're being more aware of how we're talking and how we're noticing, and our kids pick up so much from us. So I always say, like, my kid uses all my like phrases against me. And he does, even the sarcastic ones. So I have to really watch how I respond to things, because when I'm unguarded and not regulating how I'm reacting to something, he's seeing that and picking up on it and wanting to use it. And it's not usually appropriately used, or it's used appropriately and he doesn't quite know how impactful it is, and a lot of adults would view it as very rude. And when I reflect back at that, I'm like, gosh, I was really rude to my kid, and that felt really gross and icky. So I've been trying really hard to reflect on what I say. So do you guys think that you could practice this through reflecting each time you have an interaction with your child? So if you say something and you reflect and you're like, oh, I could have done that better. I wasn't noticing the good, I only noticed the bad. Or I was dismissive and I could have praised him more. And we don't want our praise to be like praising on what a good job they did making something isn't always great, because sometimes, you know, their art is their art and some kids have skills, some kids don't. We don't want to be falsely like giving them, but the fact that they tried, they did it, the effort they put into things is so much better than like the end result. It's so when I think of like superficial things like, oh, you're so pretty, like nobody is, their self-confidence isn't going to boost just because they're told they're pretty. People need to feel they're pretty. So I feel like that comes from the inside, and that comes from a whole lot of redeeming qualities, just not like my physical attributes. So commenting on physical attributes, it's nice to give compliments, but when we're praising our kids for things that they've actually put effort in and they have some control over the output of it, like we need to honor all of that goes into that. So I hope that makes sense to you guys, because we are going to have our things. I tell my son he's handsome, and he does, you know, get all cute and giggly and loves that. And I usually do it when he's tried really hard to dress and he's got his hair just so, and he's shaved for the day. So, and I'll tell him he smells good, because that's a big thing for him. So it's okay to do those things, but I want us to be thinking about looking a little deeper past the superficial stuff and watching our interactions, so our kids learn how to positively reflect on others as well. So practice, 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 and you're going to notice if your kid's like mine and they turn all your phrases against you, you'll definitely get some flags that tell you, I need to maybe start changing the way I talk to him, because that's who you should look at first. Like, where is my kid getting these words from? Where is my kid thinking he can talk to me this way? And typically they've learned it from another adult. And in my case, it's definitely me. Like, I know I'm the guilty culprit for some of the things he spun around back at me. And so I have to apologize for what I have said and done and correct his language. And then if I use that language again, I have to like instantly correct myself in front of him so he knows it's not okay. So the next question is, what are some things your child has done that are helpful or kind. So think about like if they took on an extra chore. Like my son will take the dog outside with him, and I think that's really cool when he takes the initiative to go play catch with the dog. Sometimes he'll help pick up stuff around the house for me, or he'll want to set the table. There's lots of little things he does, and I think just even washing his hands sometimes, like that's something we struggle with getting him to do, like after a meal or something. Like I will thank him for taking the time to do that. So if you are having problems finding ways to connect with your child and get them to understand like helpful versus unhelpful, so the praise is going to be good because they're going to start to get like some intrinsic value out of it. But I really love books for this sort of thing. So they get to reflect. If you tell a story and you can ask, is there a time when they felt like that? Or is there a time when they did that? Or if they know anybody that's done that. So conscious discipline, which is a lot of the tools I've been sharing with you guys through these series. They have a series of books. So I have Sophie's and Schubert's books, and this one is Sophie's Helpful Day. So that's a really good tool for you guys to use, and it's a short little board book to use for reflection. And look how cute, super cute character. I pulled some other books that I have. So the Bernstein Bears, for whatever reason, like have every kind of book that comes to helping raise your kids. So this is one I found in our library. So Lend a Helping Hand. This one's really good. The Messy Bedroom. Because you can talk through that, especially when you're like working on a routine and you guys want to identify the things that would help them make the room cleaner. So this is something I am struggling with very badly right now, is my son knowing how to clean up. And I have to celebrate the small wins because he's just not going to clean the way I will. If he can get everything off of the floor and picked up in a capacity where nothing's like leaning Tower of Pisas and death traps, like I'm pretty happy with that. And then it's easier for me to go in and finish organizing versus if it's just a big bomb went off in there. So books are great to go through that, because in this cover you can see how messy the room is, and how many of you have seen your kids' floor like that, or pretty darn close, or maybe worse. And that's okay. So you would go through that, and there's feelings, you know, the mom is mad, and you can reflect on that. I found another one that's about our topic today. So the Bernstein Bears and A Job Well Done. So we want to instill in our kids to, like, if you're going to do something, do it, like, make it worthwhile, like, do it well. Otherwise, you're just going to have to redo it again. And that's painful. And take pride in your work, right? So instilling that positivity, it also just makes it so, like, work doesn't seem like work, right? So, like, I hate laundry with a passion. And sometimes I just have to start it and do it, and it's not so bad. I feel like a good thing's happened. Like we're trying to prepare our house, like starting to declutter and get it ready for when we want to sell it. And sometimes you're just so tired after work, and we want to accomplish at least like one big task a week and maybe a few like little tasks during the week, you know, to make that bigger task easier in the end. Like we're going to tackle our garage this weekend, but we threw away a few random weird things this week, and condensing, you know, like DVDs into one zone, like little things like that. Those are the things we want our kids to do, but they don't know how to organize all of that. So we're building all these skills with these visual routines, and then creating like this positive language. So we're not just creating kids that want to do stuff for their own intrinsic rewards, but also for them to share positivity back out into the world. So when people are helping them, they'll learn like positive language as well to ask for help, because sometimes we don't use positive language to ask for help. And the more we do that, our kids are going to be more responsive, and then they're they're absorbing everything we show them and do. And it's so hard to, you know, not be a human sometimes, right? We just respond sometimes and things come out of our mouth. And so if we're more intentional and try to practice and reflect, we're going to minimize some of the negative things and those bad routines that we do and say, right? So that's the goal with this. So I hope you guys like these books. There's a bazillion more, like Clifford has books, Arthur has books. I think pretty much every like Nick Jr. or Disney character has a book with some sort of theme, right? So find things that your kids will relate to and that your kids like, so they identify with, so they are like, oh, that could be me. Or look, that's a mom and you're my mom. Oh, I don't like it when you're sad. I don't like it when she's sad. That's not nice, right? So they're going to start to connect all of that and start using critical thinking skills. And that is amazing because we want to have good humans, right? When they are adults, we want to have them to have good critical thinking skills. And that's built over time. It doesn't happen overnight. So we start young and we're going to see huge rewards in the end. You know, you're not going to be so scared when your kid goes off to college. You're not going to be so scared when he goes into the workforce because you've done all this work to make them into good humans, to have good critical thinking skills. They might not make every decision you would make, but if they put some thought into it, like that's huge versus just like impulse, right? So with the age of technology, like we're already getting rewired to where we don't have great impulse control, where we are a culture of instant gratification. And so getting these hands-on skills is going to be really helpful, right? These are just tried and true things that we all need to do as humans. And if our kids are just learning everything from our quick, fast-paced world, they're not going to have the time to do these things and have good social skills and good social interactions that are positive. And it's all a part of building healthy relationships and having true connection. So I hope this was helpful. That is this video. I will send you guys some links. So if you don't have access to books, there's always some online libraries. YouTube always has some great videos too, if you have a problem getting those. I always order everything from Amazon because if I'm dealing with something in like 2 days, I have a book that helps me navigate that problem. On this channel, I have talked about Julia Cook's books before as well. So she has a lot of social emotional learning things that are really helpful. And each age of your kids is going to be different. Just because your kid's like 7 or 8 and you haven't done a lot of this yet doesn't mean that you can't start. It doesn't mean you can't start if they're a teenager. We just get so busy, it's easy to forget the things, and I don't think it means you've done anything wrong. I think this is just a new way to look at it and be a little bit more intentional about it. So I hope you guys have a great day and stay tuned and check us out for our next video upload. Thanks and have a great day.